Alrighty, Artie. Thanks for sitting down with me, giving me some of your time. I know it's your day off.
True indeed. But the pleasure's mine. We've been supposed to, have gotten together to do this, but being our schedules. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's good that we can make it happen, especially on a what's that? It's Martin Luther King holiday.
It is. It
So
is.
the energy is just right.
Yes,
And
sir.
greatness is in the air.
Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly.
For sure.
So we'll start it off simple. For the people that may not be familiar with you or your work, give them your name, where you're from and what exactly you do
Okay.
for a living.
Well, my name is Artist Thrower, but everybody calls me OG, or either Artie,
Right.
Pretty much, I'm from right here, well, tell you the truth, I was born in Florida. My father was in the military, so my father's from Georgia. My mother, she's from here, Charleston. So I moved around a little bit when I was younger, but eventually, we came back here where my mother was from, and the majority of my family is. So that's how I got here. I'm a barber, and this is my barber shop right here, Geechee Grooming Barber
I was
Shop,
about to say, give
the
them the
one and
name.
only.
Hmm.
Um, I've been I've been here going on 4 years. May or make 4 years that I've actually been a business owner. Before that, I was working with my partner down there the street. Fella gave me my shot, David Graham, down there, King of Cuts.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, yeah, I was down there for 7 years.
Hmm.
Until I started doing my own thing. Which has been it's been a journey, but I mean I've enjoyed every minute of it. Yeah, it's been real nice.
That's awesome.
Right.
And so for starters, I didn't know your dad was in the military. What branch?
Navy,
Okay.
Navy, yeah, retired senior chief.
Okay.
Retired senior chief. So my old man, he put in some work in the Navy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean he wanted me to go that route, but that wasn't my
Yeah, it's not for
thing.
everybody. Not for
Right,
everybody.
right,
And so I guess the next thing I'm gonna ask is kind of broad, and I'm gonna cover a lot of years for you.
right.
But when did you realize that you wanted to become a barber? Like, is there like an inspiration you had? Was it, multiple? You know,
Um, I can say I was probably around 12 years old, and matter of fact, we was living right on the naval base right there in Goose Creek, Men Riv. And I had this little partner, man. His name was Don, and so he could cut hair, and he was real good with like designs and whatnot. And me and him was friends, and one day I just picked up the clippers and I started cutting, and tell you the truth, it came natural. It came natural. I I I, I just always had a love for it. I enjoyed doing it, and I was pretty good at it at the time. And I was young. It was nothing that I had really had a hard time catching on to. And so it's not many things that a person. I look at it as it was a gift. It was a gift from God. It was a talent that the Creator blessed me with, man. And I ain't gonna tell you no lie. Ever since I started staying true to it and really perfecting my craft, man, it's taking real good care of me.
yeah,
You know,
that's good. So was it? I mean, were there times? I mean, because that's early.
right?
That you found out you were interested in it. Were there times that you were kind of like, off and on with it,
Yeah,
or
definitely,
yeah?
definitely. Um, I got my barber's license. Well, I went to barber school uh, right after I graduated. So I
Okay.
was I was like 18 when I got my barber's license. I was probably about 19. It was around about 1994.
Yeah.
I went to barber school, and I tell you the truth, I did pretty good. I finished, in about a year. But at the time, I was young. At the time, I was young, and I didn't really stick with. I didn't really stick with barbering. It was too slow for me. I felt that it was too slow. The money wasn't coming fast enough. But really, I just didn't understand at the time that it was something that I was gonna have to go through. the waiting period,
Yeah.
because no barber just gets in the game and has massive clientele, and especially not back then. It was, now it's a little better. Barbers make more money than they do now. You have more people that get haircuts on a regular basis. So yeah, at the time I wasn't focused, and that's when I started doing other things. I put barbering on the back burner, and I just started dibbling dabbling in the streets.
Hmm.
And I'm not ashamed to say, I went to prison when I think I was 22 years old. I went to prison when I was about 22 years old. I mean, I've always been a hustler. I've always been a hustler. As you can see, I keep my hand in everything, anything that I can that's gonna make me a profit. Hey, I'm with it.
Right.
But I mean, I've always been like that. But at the time, I just, I was you see, back then you used to see drug dealers, and as a young black man, you just intrigued at the lifestyle, and you see these cats, man, and they clean, and they got money and cars, and just things like that. And so, as a young man, me seeing that, I was automatically drawn to it because I mean I've always been a cool, you know what I'm saying, fella.
Right.
So that's what I liked, at the time. And so back to what I was saying, I was about 22 when I went to prison the first time. I did 5 years. I did 4 years and 8 months. And at the time, uh, like I said, I was 22. I came back out when I was about 27. Um, and I I still got back into the streets. I wasn't focused on cutting hair. I think I cut hair for a little while. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it wasn't what I wanted to do at the time. I still had that street mentality. So I messed up and I went back. I went back to prison. This time I went back for 3 years. And once I got out, that time there after I did those 3 years, that's when I made my decision that, you know what I'm saying, I was just gonna cut hair, and that's what I did. And I mean, it's been working for me ever since.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. So collectively, you spent like 8 years in prison.
yeah, around about 8 years
Hmm.
in prison, but then going back and forth in county jail and stuff like that. So yeah, I spent the majority of my 20s and early 30s in prison.
You spent, a good bit of your 20s, locked up and stuff like that.
Right, right.
So when you got out after the second stint, did you have a hard time just trying to live like a low key life, trying to build up the clientele for like the barber stuff? Was it, or were you really just done? Because the biggest thing, like how you were talking about, right, like being a black man in society, 1 in 3 they go
Right,
back after their first stint,
definitely.
and especially after twice, I mean, even more likely you go back. Nothing's really set up for you to succeed. So, what was that like for you coming out of prison and trying to build that up?
Well, I ain't gonna tell you no lie, man. I had good people around me. And that's what I think that a lot of brothers, that be their downfall. Because, when you coming out of a situation like that, it's real easy for you to backtrack and start doing the same thing that you was doing. Because we're creatures of habit. So that's really what we do. But at the same time, I already had told myself before I got out that I was done.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
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 I told myself that before I got out, that was done. So I mean, doing what I did to come back, that wasn't even an option.
right,
You know, it wasn't even an option. It was something that I had done, swept under the rug, like I said before I even left the penitentiary.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
and definitely, like I said, man, I had a lot of good people around me. You know what I'm saying? And that really is what pushed me over the top and what made me keep on going.
Mhm.
Right, right.
So, and I'm curious too, like even talking about like you serving and stuff like that. What got you? Was there anything that got you through your time? Like, did you read? Did you?
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
definitely,
what did you do to get you
definitely,
through your time? I know everyone's
definitely.
different, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely did a lot of reading. Um, did a lot of working out. Um, I just kind of like separated myself from even thinking about what was going on in the streets. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of situations like that, that's when you really got to look inside of yourself and focus on you and get yourself together. Because if not, man, it's easy, to worry about things that's going on outside, and then all that's going to do is it's going to make you lose focus on what you really need to be doing,
mm,
and yeah, I read a lot, man. Read a lot of good books, man. um, I just picked up on a whole lot of knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Even
yeah,
just talking to, what I'm saying, brothers in the pen who was older than me,
right,
that was telling me, hey man, look here, man, don't come back, because I mean, once you get around people, they can tell how you carry yourself, that you ain't really like the rest of the knuckleheads in there. I was in prison because, you know what I'm saying, I wanted some money. Nothing. It was nothing else that would have made me went to prison, except I wanted some money. You know what
right.
I'm saying? So a lot of the other stuff, man, I really didn't indulge in. Foolishness. I didn't really have no time for it. So, that's pretty much how that situation panned out.
Gotcha. Was there like a type of book or specific book that you remember reading in that time, or was it just like a bunch of stuff just to try to get
Man, I read all kind of stuff, man.
yeah,
48 Laws of Power. You know what I'm saying? Think and Grow Rich. Um, man, there's so many. I read a
yeah,
lot of Donald Goines books, you know, and I mean, in a situation like that, you just absorb a lot of information. I wasn't the type that really watched a lot of TV and got into all of that. You do that, but that wasn't my main. That wasn't my main focus or concern.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And to switch back over, and so I know you get out, you start doing the barber stuff again. So, what would you say is probably like a hardship or something that a lot of young people don't realize is a part of that career path? Because I think, and I'll say this, like I think for a lot of people in my age, because right now I just turned 23, right?
Right.
So I think a lot of them think it's something where it's like, oh, I can just learn this real quick, get out, earn some quick money. But
Yeah.
with anything, it's not. It's never quick. So,
No. No.
what's
No.
some hard aspects of it that maybe for someone who's younger and getting into it, that they need to probably learn in advance before starting it.
Man, the thing that I would say is, man, you got to have patience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's really, to me, the number one thing that young barbers don't have. And I'm saying this because, like I told you before, I experienced it. I wasn't patient, but you ain't gonna always be in a position to where you get out of barber school or OJT or whatever kind of training that you have and come into a barber shop and you just have supreme clientele.
Right.
It takes, I mean, it takes years to build a solid clientele to where you can actually support yourself from barbering. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And I remember when I when I started going back, I wasn't going to barber school, but I had an instructor because when I got out of prison the second time, I had to go back and take my barbering test because uh, it had done lapsed. My license had done lapsed, so I had to go back in Colombia and take a part of my test over. And so I had a instructor. His name was Mr. Hill. God bless his dad. He was from Somerville. He had Marion's barbershop,
Mm-hmm.
and so me and him was real close. He was an older guy, but he gave me a lot of, I mean, boss game. And one day I asked him, I remember, I said, man, Mr. Hill, man, I said, man, when do you think I'm gonna be a good barber?
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, he said, when you can make a living off of what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that was something that it always stuck with me because since 2011, the only thing that I've been doing is cutting hair. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah.
And it supports me. You know, I don't have. I mean, I have other things that I do. You know what I'm saying, to get some money. You know, I mess with the colognes and
Right,
the
right.
barber supplies and stuff like that. But my main income, you know, is barbering. So I'm definitely making a living and supporting myself off of what I do. So
So I'm curious because I don't know too much about like the career path aspect of it. Is it something where most barbers have like a second hustle or a second job to try to maintain like a quality of life for themselves
right,
or
yeah, a lot of them do. You
mm,
know, a lot of them do because, I mean, you know, a lot of times people get secure with certain jobs. You know, they get used to getting a check. You know,
yeah,
they get used to every 2 weeks. You know, on the first or either on the 15th. You know, somebody give them a check for working a certain amount of hours.
right.
But in barbering, that's not the case.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You got to come and you got to go to work and you got to get your money and you got to build a clientele and you got to do a good job because you have to make sure that the customer comes back. You
right.
know, if I cut somebody hair, my intentions isn't for them to just walk out the door and that's it.
See them around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I need you to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So yeah,
Okay. And so switching over from that, you know, what made you? Because I mean, to be honest, like all the time you spent in prison, right? You come out, you know, you're starting to be steady. You know, I mean, you're already beating a lot of odds people don't beat.
right,
What made you want to go a step further and start to become a business owner on top of that, or start to implement those aspects?
right. Well, you know, I've always, I haven't always been a business owner, but I've always been about my business.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, um, this isn't the first business that I had. I had a business back in 2005 or six with one of my partners called the One Stop. It was a little variety shop, but that was really like my first business. But
Mm,
yeah, with the barber shop, like I say, it's I've been here like 4 years now. I always wanted to be a business owner. You know,
sure.
I never just had that employee mentality where I'm just gonna work for somebody, you know what I'm saying, for the rest of my career. And I mean, most barbers, that's usually the goal, you know, because the same way I started out with somebody, you know what I'm saying? The person
Hmm.
that I was working for at the time, he started out with somebody, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
most of the time in barbering, that's how it usually happens. You know, people, once you have a certain type of following and you feel that you can stand on your own, you know, that's usually what most barbers do.
Right. Right. And even going off of the business aspect of it, I know y'all guys will probably laugh about it, but I know a lot of people complain. What would you say about people that complain about the rising price of haircuts?
Man, I
Because it's
mean,
something that was, I'm assuming it probably needed to be raised a long time ago.
right, true indeed, it did. But you know, now, I mean, everything's going up.
Oh yeah.
Everything's going up. But at the same time, with barbers and with haircuts, you know, brothers' skills are elevating too.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? To where haircuts, they they're a work of art now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Barbers put a lot of work in the haircuts, and you got to think a haircut. You know, that's like somebody that's a badge of confidence.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you get
Hmm.
a good haircut, you feel different. You know,
Hmm.
you walk out the shop different.
Move
You
different.
know, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So I mean, and barber skills are elevating to where, I mean, haircuts now they immaculate. I
Yeah.
mean, the game is changing. So you know, I believe that haircuts they fit. They starting to fit the price now. You
Yeah.
know, they starting to fit the price now. You know, barbers, you ain't just giving them 10, $12, $15 for a haircut,
Right.
you got to cut 100 heads. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
mean, just to see a decent amount of cash, it ain't like that no more.
Mhm. And so I'm, for the career for people that, might not know, is it something where it's like you find your style and you stick to it? Or is it like if you're a good barber, you always are trying to elevate or always trying to do something different or,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got to. I believe that every barber has their own style.
definitely.
Every barber has their own style, and really the thing that changes is maybe the techniques, but the end results, are basically the same. A good haircut is a good haircut.
Right.
A tight fade is a tight fade. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But it's just that, the steps that brothers do to get to it. Sometimes that's that's different.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And so for COVID, right? I know a lot of the areas. I don't really know how it is because I only go here, but
Right,
um, I know a lot of people went appointment based. And growing
right,
up,
right.
you know, this was like a community thing. Like this might be the most people I've seen in a shop, since pre-COVID.
Yeah.
As a barber and a business owner, like how do you feel about that? Like, do you miss the aspect of like all this being here and people out in the parking lot, just crazy stuff like that? Like, I don't know.
I
How do you feel about
mean,
that?
yes and no.
Right.
I mean, when you look at it, the appointment is definitely better for barbers.
Mm,
So now we can manage our time a little better because we have things to do just like other people. And back
mm,
in the day, you just sit in the barbershop all day and you wait on people to come in.
yeah,
And if it
exactly.
gets busy and you ain't getting nothing to eat yet, you got to wait until you knock this crowd down and all. So the appointments is best. It's definitely better to
Right.
me. And I feel that at the same time, um, it's not the. I mean, you can still have a few people in here and still have a solid conversation.
Yeah,
You know
definitely.
what I'm saying? But a lot of times when you got so many people in there, it be so many weird conversations going on that
Hmm.
you know. But when you just got that little few people, I mean, sometimes you get a real good conversation. You get some boss game,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But I definitely like the appointments better.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
I was about to say, I'm sure you could have a lot better conversation with the individual person getting the cut,
Right,
versus,
right, right.
20
Yeah.
people in here going
Yeah,
crazy type
yeah, you
thing.
definitely get more of a one-on-one type situation with your customer, or either just a couple of clients that's in here.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So I asked you some parts that might be frustrating about the business. What's your favorite parts of the business, or just being a barber in general?
man, I love the fact that I can make my own schedule.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? I love the fact that I can uh, come to work, dress how I want to dress. I can be me. You know
right.
what I'm saying? A lot of times when you have those corporate jobs and things like that, you really got to conform to what the job says.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If they tell you to come in with a uniform on, you got to do that, and you got to do this and do that. But being a barber, you pretty much get to be yourself. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And that's just like with barbers that's in here. Even though they might work in here with me, they still work for themselves. You know
Definitely.
what I'm saying? They their own contractors.
Right.
So whatever they decide to do or whatever, that's on them. It's not that strict work environment.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's a
Exactly.
it's a lot it's a lot more laid back. The environment is real good, man.
Mm,
To me,
definitely.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite type of cut you like to do or that you prefer? That's
Yeah,
broad, but
probably the easiest, the
yeah,
easiest
yeah,
and the fastest. You
definitely,
know,
definitely.
yeah. But no, I like wave cuts.
Mm,
Because when somebody got them waves and you paint that cut on them, man, you put that thing on them nice, and them waves flow. It looks real good.
right.
So that's probably one of my best and and favorite cuts.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So for the people coming in and just in general, is there like a tip or trick that you might want to give? I don't know if you keep them or not, like if you're a barber, but for the young people coming up by chance. If
Man,
not, then you don't, but
yeah,
any
I would
advice?
say it wouldn't really be a trick or anything like that, but it would be a tip. And that would be stay consistent.
Mm,
You know, you gotta stay consistent, man. Especially in this game here, because it's so easily for somebody to say, well, yeah, my man, he cut me good the first time, but the last two times ain't been that good.
right.
Next thing you know, you done lost a customer, you know what I'm saying? So
Mm,
you got to stay consistent, man, and keep them coming back.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Uh, so for you in your business, I'm curious that moving forward, obviously you always have goals, short
most
term goals.
definitely.
You got to have them.
Most definitely.
But for you, is there any chance that you have any like long term goals you want to share, or short term, like what are you looking forward to, like coming up for you next?
Man, growth is always, growth is something that's always gonna be one of my goals. Definitely growth. You know, if the opportunity presents itself, you know what I'm saying, and I can expand, that's always an option. That's
Mm,
always on the table.
mm,
Another thing I want to do is eventually I want to tap in with some younger barbers too.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Tap in with some younger barbers, man. Give them some good game, uh, whatever that's gonna help them uh, elevate. Because with barbering, you really have to tap into the OGs in barbering. I mean,
Mm,
if you a young barber, and I think that a lot of times we don't give them the game that they need that's gonna help them to elevate. You know what I'm
is
saying?
that a thing? Like people try to keep stuff from them to make them learn, or do young
Um,
people just not come up to a
I would
little bit above?
to me, I would say, barbering is very competitive.
Yeah,
It's very competitive, but at the same time, brothers don't realize that, man, it's more than enough hairs out here to cut.
right.
You know what I'm saying? It's more than enough. So I mean, it ain't like by me holding some information back from another young barber or barber in general that's gonna cut in to my money or whatever the case may be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Mm,
I feel that a lot of people they don't really realize that. And so yeah, I do believe that some barbers they do they hold back on giving cats the game.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that is right, but I know for a fact that it it happens.
Hmm.
It happens, man. You player haters everywhere.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you got them in the barbering game too.
Yep.
Yeah, you got them in the barbering game too.
I want you to plug your business event coming up with DJ Chuck T, right?
Okay, yeah, DJ Chuck T, that's my
Yeah, I was
brother.
about to say I saw
You
him on
know,
Facebook.
yeah, that's my brother.
Yeah.
But to tell you the truth, it's a Karis Connect event,
Okay.
and Karis Connect, that's my sister, that's her company,
Okay.
and so what Karis Connect does is it's a they plug in other black businesses with each other.
Okay.
And that's something that my sister does, and it's the event is really her event, but it's going to be held here, and it's going to be hosted by my brother DJ Chuck T.
Hmm.
And pretty much it's just going to be networking. It's going to be a lot of black businesses, you
Right.
know, brothers who own businesses, brothers who are interested in owning businesses, and
Hmm.
pretty much we just gonna be giving each other game on uh, businesses that we have and how to open businesses and just how to conduct business. So Yeah, it's gonna be a networking event, man. So
Yeah, I think that's good because that doesn't happen enough here.
right,
You know, it's
right.
just a bunch of people trying to start something up, and there's never enough support maybe in the community or around the area. So I think that's really good what y'all are doing there.
Yeah, yeah, appreciate it. And I mean, that's what we're gonna have to do. We got to network more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got to network more, man. And that's one thing I love about barbering, that you run across all different kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? People that
Yeah.
you know that do a little bit of everything. You know, a barber could probably get somebody. I mean, have enough people to build a house. You
Right.
know, just people that you know that come through the shop, whether they my clients or somebody else's clients. Everybody pretty much knows everybody and something that they do. But I believe that if we started kind of like using those relationships, it would definitely help us. It would help us out a lot, as black business owners and entrepreneurs.
Right. Right. And so besides that event, is there anything else that you want to shout out?
Most definitely, man. Um, my partner Frank, the
Mm-hmm.
barber that's right here, man. He has a event that we're gonna be hosting here. When is that event, Frank?
Okay.
February the 20th. Yeah, and it's gonna be man, I'll let you ask him about it. I'll
Okay.
let you ask him about it
Yeah. Yeah.
and shout that out. But he knows more about it than me. But we're doing that. That's gonna be in February.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I got something else that I'm working on right now. It's gonna be an event with with my colognes and whatnot.
Okay.
So it's gonna be a something that I got coming up in a little while.
All right.
With the colognes and whatnot. It's gonna be real nice though.
Cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, give the name of your barbershop one more time for Geechee Grooming.
Geechee Grooming Barbershop,
Yep. Goose Creek.
Goose Creek, yeah, located right here in Goose Creek, man.
Yep. And that's all I got for you. But I appreciate you sitting down with me, giving me some of your day.
Most definitely, man. I
MLK
appreciate you, man.
for
I
sure.
seen you come up
Yeah.
since you was a little young buck. So,
Yeah.
when you asked me to do it, man, it was definitely a pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's love.
definitely a pleasure, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Hey, man, no problem.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Make sure to follow Kita Community on YouTube, Insta, and TikTok.